Shark Tank India has a new shark, and it's the founder of Oyo, Ritesh Agarwal. So he's going to be making his first appearance on the show in season 3, and he actually took to X to announce the news and share how the Indian startup ecosystem has helped him in his own entrepreneurial journey, and he wants to give back to the new generation of entrepreneurs coming from every corner of the country. Now, this news is coming right after Ritesh helped Oyo to actually achieve its first ever profitable quarter in the company's history. And I don't know, I put Ritesh Agarwal in the same category as Ashnir Grover in terms of controversy. I think his company, Oyo, has a lot of fans. I think it also has a lot of people who have issues with the company. They've had bad experiences either on the customer side or on the hotel side, but he's also a huge inspiration to thousands of kids who grew up in small towns across the country like he did. He came from a small town in Odisha. And the thing is, I think India is absolutely full of extremely ambitious young people from small towns where their relatives, their family members, society at large just isn't really supportive of them going off and pursuing their dreams of starting a business. Instead, they're pushing them towards engineering. They're pushing them towards becoming a doctor or a nurse, BCom, whatever it is, right? There's all these paths that Indian society pushes you towards. And so it can be hard to defy that expectation, that societal standard, and do something different. But when they look at people like Ritesh Agarwal, they get that inspiration to say, no, I'm going to chart my own path. And the thing is too, Oyo was almost dead in 2020 and their business was pretty much wiped out, but they didn't just revive the business, they actually made it profitable. Now, of course, the way that they actually went about doing this was probably very messy, the way that it is, right? Achieving profitability when your company is not profitable and wasn't really designed to be profitable as quickly as Oyo was forced to become profitable, that can be a messy process, laying people off, removing hotels from the platform, which is difficult for those hotel owners. But in spite of all of this, it looks like the response to Ritesh Agarwal's tweet about going on Shark Tank India season 3 is overwhelmingly positive. People are very supportive, they're encouraging, they're excited to see how he actually performs as a shark, and so am I, honestly. All right, next up in the news, fintech unicorn Slice is becoming a bank. Now, how are they doing this? Well, they've actually gotten permission to merge with the Northeast Small Finance Bank, which is actually pretty significant because the RBI is known for being very skeptical of startups who are entering the banking space. And so Slice, through this merger, through this combined entity, is by default going to gain access to a small finance banking license. So just to catch you guys up on the story of Slice so far, they had started to gain prominence with a credit card-like product that they were issuing, and they were actually issuing more of these cards than any other credit card issuer in the country. But then the RBI changed its rules, which stopped non-banking fintech companies from dispersing credit lines. And so this, of course, almost killed Slice's business. It killed their USP, and they had to go back to becoming a traditional lending business. And although Slice already had an NBFC license, this had its limitations. They could only make money as an intermediary, basically by taking a cut by providing loans to their customers through other banks. And so at that point, Slice realized that if they actually wanted to gain access to a bigger piece of India's lending market, then they were going to need to become a bank. And so over the last couple of quarters, Slice has been acquiring stake in Northeast Small Finance Bank, totaling 10% of the company, valuing it at $68 million. All right, next up in the news, a bit of a clarification, something that a lot of people thought was happening, but it looks like it's not. Carpooling is not going to be banned in Bengaluru the way a lot of people thought it was. So on the 1st of October, multiple reports came out saying that the Karnataka government had banned carpooling in Bengaluru and that fines of 10,000 rupees were being imposed on people who were carpooling. This would have killed many startups operating in that space like BlaBlaCar, Quick Ride, Rideshare, Commute Easy, and Carpool Ada. Luckily though, Karnataka's Transport Minister Ramalinga Reddy clarified on the 2nd of October that there's not going to be any ban on carpooling, which of course helps the flow of traffic in the city. Bengaluru is an extremely congested, slow-moving city. In fact, some people say that it's the second slowest city in the world, topped only by London. That's from a report by TomTom, by the way, a Dutch multinational developer of location technology, so it's just one firm's opinion based on research that they did. But anyways, let's move on now and talk about FrontRow, which of course shut down. That happened about 2 months back. FrontRow is a hobby learning platform, and after failing to scale, its founder, Ishanpreet Singh, penned down his learnings in a LinkedIn post. And I just want to share some parts from that LinkedIn post because it really stood out to me. I think it's something that a lot of entrepreneurs should read and learn from. Looking at what other people have done, looking at their mistakes can be extremely valuable. So let's take a look. So Ishan says that everything was going great for FrontRow since its launch. Crazy user love, crashing servers, and absurdly high acquisition offers. offers. And then he talks about something that I think a lot of successful founders feel at one time or another. I'd never felt what I was feeling then. It was an insane high. But then 6 months into the company's journey, things started to slow down. Even after getting to $4 million in revenue run rate, over 1 million users, and over 200,000 paid users, their business just wasn't working. In a nutshell, it just took them too long to realize that the market that they were operating in wasn't big enough to support a venture-funded startup. And so, like any startup would, they just continued to experiment with multiple ideas, trying to make something stick until nothing worked. They realized that it just wasn't going to happen the way that they had hoped. In the end, they had no choice but to shut down. But despite a huge setback, Ishan ended up saying that he has no regrets. And I think that mindset is absolutely essential for success, long-term success as an entrepreneur. You might be a genius and your first business just does incredibly well and you make millions of dollars and you ride off into the sunset. But for most entrepreneurs, their first idea, maybe their second idea, maybe their third idea is going to fail. And you just have to be okay with that uncertainty, with that risk taking. You have to be okay with falling down and then picking yourself back up and saying, this wasn't me. This was maybe the business idea, or this was my founders, or maybe it was just the wrong market, or maybe the timing wasn't right. You have to be okay with just accepting failure, accepting defeat, but looking at it and saying, okay, I made this mistake. This is something I can learn from for my next business, getting up and trying it again. If you're not okay with that iterative, difficult, grueling process of running a business and failing and then starting another one, then probably starting up just isn't for you. So anyways, I wish the folks over at FrontRow, or what used to be FrontRow, success in their next venture. I hope that you're able to take the learnings from that past experience and use it to build something successful next time. Good luck. All right, next up in the news is a big one for people in Web3. Jaynti Kanani, the founder of Polygon, is stepping back from Polygon. So Polygon, for those of you guys who don't know, is the biggest crypto project that's ever come out of India. And so he actually decided to step back from his role at Polygon 6 months back and now wants to use his time to focus on new ventures. It seems like he's got a couple of irons in the fire. The first one is Mosaic. We really don't know much about this one, except it's creating a radical trustless platform for the new web. The second thing he's building is Morphic, which is an AI-powered production house that wants to build movies, AAA games, and animation for the international market. And the incredible thing about Jaynti is that he's come a really long way from knowing basically nothing about startups and business and just focusing on his 6,000 rupees per month job to pay off his father's debts to building India's biggest crypto startup. His story is truly inspiring, and not just for Indian entrepreneurs, but I think for anyone looking in at his story and realizing how far you can come from nothing. All right, next up in the news, Dunzo's co-founder Dalvir Suri has left the company at this time of crisis. There have also been reports, although it's not yet fully confirmed, so do take it with a grain of salt, that another co-founder, Mukund Jha, is leaving the company as well. And the company has said that Mukund will continue to be an important part of the strategic leadership team. And then finally, looking at Dunzo's former employees who've been waiting to get their salary since June and July of 2023, it looks like they're going to have to wait another 3 or 4 months till January or February of 2024, which is really painful for them. And I'm guessing when it comes to January or February, they're just going to kick that can down the road even further. Now, speaking of getting laid off, I want to talk about this week's startup of the week, Jobsurance, which is India's first protection against layoffs. It's insurance for your income. So they actually offer 3 months salary coverage backed by insurers, along with placement assistance in case of job loss. And by the way, incredible name. I'm so surprised that no one had taken that before. Jobsurance, so good. But anyways, I'll let the founder Ankit Gandawal tell you more about what he's building.
Hi, my name is Ankit. I am the co-founder of Jobsurance. Let me introduce you what is Jobsurance. It is India's first income protection plan, which means that if you are a salaried employee in India, you will get a 3-month salary cover and exclusive placement support in case of job loss. Reason why we have launched this, I and Rajat, my co-founder, have worked with India's leading startups and have seen layoffs firsthand. Our friends, colleague got affected due to these sudden layoffs. We figured out the 2 major problems that they faced. First is they don't have enough emergency fund. Second, when they got laid off, it was very, very difficult for them to find the next job. And that is exactly what Jobsurance is solving for. So we have partnered with a leading general insurance company in India, which is providing the 3-month salary cover. So if you like the product, then do subscribe to it.
If you want to be featured as our startup of the week, which is a free slot for you to talk about what you're building, I mean, people pay us a lot of money for those slots, so we're giving these away for free. Then head over to towardsventures.com, film a 60-second or less selfie video of you explaining what you're building, upload it to the site, and give some basic information, and we might feature you. All right, next up, let's talk about the funding news this week. So this is actually the first week of the third quarter of FY24, and unfortunately, it's not looking great. India's startup ecosystem raised a total of $59 million this week, down from last week's $85 million, and almost all of this went to just one company, Bizongo. So Bizongo offers packaging solutions for e-commerce businesses, and they raised $50 million in their Series E round, valuing them at $980 million, which is almost a unicorn, but not quite. And I can't help but think that this is probably intentional, because optically right now in this market, it's actually not that great to be a unicorn. I think people are kind of sick of seeing these companies that are venture-backed and they're loss-making and they haven't figured out product market fit or their unit economics, but they're super valuable. And I'm not saying that that's the case with Bizongo, but I think they probably wanted to avoid that unicorn title, because right now it's just not cool to be a unicorn. It's cool to be a profitcorn, a profitable unicorn. It's also cool to be a secret bootstrapped unicorn where no one really knows what your valuation is, but they kind of know that it's probably above $1 billion, but you're not advertising it. But being a unicorn right now, I don't think people are really excited about that. Next up, though, we have DFD0, which makes debt recovery easy for companies using AI to predict and prevent defaults. And they've raised $3.25 million in their seed round. And then finally, we have AI-based conversational support platform Clearfeed, and they raised $2.7 million in their seed round. Okay, so that is it for the startup news this week, but I wanted to try something a little bit different for this video, something kind of silly and fun. We've never done this before. It's just an experiment. We might not even do it again. I don't know. Let me know if you enjoy it. But growing up, I used to love this picture book series called Where's Waldo, where you have to find this little guy called Waldo. He wears red and white striped shirts, and you have to find him amidst this big picture of people and objects and vehicles moving around. And it was this fun little challenge. You have to find this little guy in a picture. And so I thought maybe we could do something like that in a Backstage with Millionaires video. And so what I've done using Photoshop is I've composited myself into one of the images in this video. It's going to be difficult to find. So if you can leave a comment down below and be the first person to do so, sharing the timestamp of the Where's Caleb moment in the video and also a description of what's special about that moment, then we can chat on DM somewhere, Twitter or Instagram, your preferred platform of choice. I'd love to have a conversation with you, because if you spent the time to go through the video and find that little moment, then obviously you're a big fan of Backstage with Millionaires and I want to talk to you. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching this episode of Backstage with Millionaires, and I will see you in the next one.